Picture this: a queen standing alone at the highest tower of her capital, dressed in black, holding a flaming torch, while thousands below scream her name in terror. And then, without a tear, without a flicker of mercy, she drops the torch, igniting the greatest act of royal madness the world had ever seen. Tonight, we're entering the nightmare of the queen who burned her entire city alive. They called her Queen Althora of Valand, the young ruler whose beauty was only rivaled by her brilliance. At 18, she ascended the throne with a kingdom on the brink of greatness. Under her reign, Valand thrived. Farmers reaped record harvests, scholars flocked to its universities, and children grew up believing they lived in the safest kingdom in the world. The queen walked among her people freely, speaking softly, smiling often. Her charm, her intelligence, her warmth, they were her greatest weapons. But history would not remember her smile. It would remember the fire. The descent began quietly, too quietly. Palace servants whispered that she talked to shadows. Court physicians reported sleepless nights, nights spent wandering the halls barefoot, murmuring to the portraits of long-dead ancestors as if they answered. She laughed when friends tried to reason with her, but behind that laughter, something inside her mind was rotting, slowly and irreversibly. Her obsession began with the stars. She studied the night sky for hours, tracing invisible constellations, claiming they warned of betrayal within her palace walls. First, she feared someone was poisoning her. Then she feared her people. Then she believed the entire city was plotting against her. Reassurance only strengthened her paranoia. Generals hesitated, advisors faltered, and servants whispered prayers as they passed her in the hallways. By her third year, Althora had changed beyond recognition. Her gowns were black, her crown heavy. Her voice was cold, sharp enough to cut through steel. Half her council was dismissed in a single day. A personal maid executed for speaking too softly. The royal physician exiled for breathing incorrectly. Yet none dared challenge her power. Then came the arrow. A single, harmless arrow found lodged in the palace gate. No one knew who fired it, or why. But to the queen, it was the final proof. The city had declared war on its ruler. This was the betrayal foretold by the stars. That night, she ordered every barrel of oil in the capital rolled into the streets, alleys, and courtyards. By dawn, Valand glimmered with a dark, glistening sheen of doom. Citizens awoke in fear. Escape routes were blocked. Gates were sealed. Soldiers waited silently as tens of thousands trembled, unable to comprehend the horror that awaited them. The queen climbed the tallest tower, torch in hand. Her hair whipped wildly in the wind. Her eyes were wide, unblinking, cold. Below, her people begged, cried, prayed for mercy. But she did not come to hear them. She came to enforce her vision of loyalty. If my city refuses loyalty, then my city must burn, she whispered. She dropped the torch. Flames erupted with unnatural speed, racing through marketplaces, alleys, and homes. Horses panicked, children screamed, and stone towers crumbled. The sky darkened under choking smoke. By nightfall, the pride of Valand, its marble plazas, bustling streets, and 60,000 lives, had been reduced to a smoldering sea of ash. The queen watched from her tower, unmoving, soot on her face, a small, broken smile forming. The danger is gone now. I saved us, she murmured. She believed it. The kingdom she had vowed to protect was gone, her people dead, her legacy destroyed. But in her mind, she had succeeded. News spread faster than the flames. Villages miles away reported the impossible. The capital is gone. The queen burned her own people. Neighboring kingdoms, once rivals, now trembled at her power. She had become a nightmare given flesh. And yet, she was not finished. The surviving citizens who escaped through the eastern gate carried the story of horror with them. Mothers shielded children. Soldiers guided the terrified through the night, whispering, "Run. Don't look back." From the hills, they watched the red glow of the burning city, an unrelenting furnace that devoured everything. Out of the ashes, a rebellion was born. Not for glory, not for revenge, but to ensure this could never happen again. Meanwhile, deep in a mountain fortress, Althera emerged from the shadows. Her crown cracked, her clothes burned, but her eyes burned brighter than ever. When informed that the capital had fallen, she did not flinch. "Good. Let the world see what happens when loyalty dies," she said. She would rebuild, but not with soldiers motivated by patriotism. She recruited men who had nothing to lose, criminals and mercenaries who feared her more than death. Her army was forged from terror itself. Back in the ruins, the rebels found a hidden journal beneath the collapsed central tower. The queen's frantic handwriting painted a portrait of madness. They whisper in the walls. Voices in the dark. They want fire. They want the world clean. They won't stop until everything burns. She wasn't just mad. She believed she was obeying something, some prophecy, some voice, some invisible command that demanded the city be purified. And the truth terrified the rebels. She wasn't finished. Her soldiers hunted survivors mercilessly. Men, women, children, anyone who remembered the gentler queen they had once loved. Escape was impossible for most, and fear kept even her loyal guards from resisting her orders. Those who survived would carry the horror for the rest of their lives. Inside the palace, Althera walked through charred hallways, whispering to shadows, imagining the praise of ancestors long dead. She sat on a half-melted throne, issuing commands to ministers who no longer existed. Madness had become her kingdom. Yet, for a fleeting moment, she remembered her father's warning. A crown can warm a room or burn it down. Her eyes softened. She saw the monster she had become. But the moment passed. Flames surged inward. The roof groaned and collapsed. Whatever humanity remained disappeared with the final crash of stone and fire. Survivors returning days later saw only ash, smoke, and silence. But on a distant hill, a single throne remained, blackened, twisted by heat. Some whispered the queen had died there, refusing to leave her kingdom. Others claimed she escaped into the mountains, still wearing her crown, still hearing the screams, still believing in betrayal. No one knows the truth, but her legend endured. It was a warning. Unchecked power and unbridled fear can turn even the most beloved ruler into a monster. The rebellion gathered, vowing to stop her. They had nothing left to lose, only the memory of those who could not speak again. Meanwhile, Althera prepared. Her mountain fortress glowed with forges, banners stitched in terror, and an army bred from desperation and fear. The queen had destroyed her city. Now she would turn her gaze outward, to the world beyond. The journal remained, a chilling testament to her mind. Voices in the walls, whispers in the dark, a prophecy demanding fire. She wasn't simply mad. She was convinced of a duty that no one could challenge. And she wasn't finished. Not yet. The rebellion had grown quietly but relentlessly. Survivors trained in secret, armed with makeshift weapons and the memory of everyone the queen had burned. Farmers became soldiers, scholars became strategists. They had nothing to lose and everything to avenge. Althera, deep in her mountain fortress, prepared for the final confrontation. Her army of mercenaries and criminals was disciplined through fear. She had survived Valen's destruction and believed herself untouchable. The world beyond awaited her wrath, but first, the rebels would come. At dawn, they attacked. Through forests and valleys, the rebels advanced, fueled by grief and determination. Althera watched from her fortress, issuing commands with cold precision. Flames, steel, and smoke filled the valley as her elite soldiers struck with brutal efficiency. Yet the rebels were relentless. Hours passed in a night of fire and chaos. The queen's forces fell one by one. Cornered in her throne room, she faced the leaders of the rebellion, the very people she had once ruled. For a brief moment, her eyes softened, recalling the young queen she had been. But madness returned instantly, the cold calculation that had destroyed Valand now flashing in her gaze. A final confrontation erupted. Althera swung her torch, her fury unmatched, But the rebels had learned her patterns, her obsessions, her weaknesses. In the end, she was captured alive, her crown cracked, her dress in ashes, but her eyes still burning with fire. She was brought to the ruins of Valand, where the survivors she had terrorized watched silently. Her trial was swift. Scholars, priests, and generals testified to her brilliance and her terror. The verdict was unanimous: death by execution. She accepted it with eerie calm, whispering only one sentence: "I only saved them." The queen's fall marked the end of the nightmare. The rebellion began rebuilding, not just the city, but the memory of a kingdom almost erased. Her story endured as a warning. Fear unchecked can consume even the brightest ruler, turning savior into monster. The ash settled. The fires died. The world exhaled. But the legend of the Mad Queen of Valand would never fade.